fascinating biblical discoveries have been uncovered at ancient Shiloh.
This is the wall that would separate the holy from the most holy.
Recent excavations at ancient Shiloh have unearthed jaw-dropping biblical finds. Once written off as myth, the very ground now reveals Joshua's land divisions, Hannah's fervent prayers, and the Tabernacle's sacred walls, etched in stone and bone after 3,000 years.
This is where Joshua divided the land between the 12 tribes, where Hannah prayed for a son, and where the tabernacle stood for 40 years.
Layer by layer, architecture and priestly relics align with Scripture in ways no one saw coming. This isn't theory, it's archaeology rewriting our origins. Could these discoveries transform our understanding of the Bible's earliest chapters? Stay with us to the end to witness the discoveries that's left experts speechless. Hidden Heart. Long before Jerusalem's golden stones caught the world's eye, there was a quiet hill named Shiloh. It rose gently above rolling fields in ancient Ephraim, far from grand palaces or thick city walls. Yet this humble rise held a power no fortress could match. It was where the people came to speak with God. According to the old tales, the Ark of the Covenant first found its home here.
This is where you came to connect with God. Jerusalem remains a pagan city for another 300 years. The Ark is here, the Tabernacle is here, and this is where you came to connect with God.
When the tribes claimed their place in the Promised Land, they gathered at Shiloh to set up the tent of meeting. Day after day, that tent stood alone against the open sky, a beacon for every Israelite seeking guidance or hope. But Shiloh's story turns even more human when you meet its people. There was Eli, the aged priest whose hand shook as he tended the lamp to keep God's light burning. There was Hannah, a woman scarred by years of empty arms, who wept so deeply that her tears fell like rain on the dusty ground. And there was Samuel, the boy whose voice first broke the stillness of night when God spoke directly to him. For 300 years, Shiloh stood unchallenged, the heart of Israel's faith. But when disaster finally struck, when the Philistines swept in and took the ark, the shock rippled far beyond Shiloh's ruined tents. The prophet Jeremiah later held up that fall as a stern lesson. Stray from your path, and even the strongest hold can crumble. Yet, while the Bible marked Shiloh's end, the earth kept its secrets. Stones that once held altars lay buried under centuries of soil. Animal bones whispered of past sacrifices. Wooden beams rotted away, leaving only faint imprints in clay. Here lies the puzzle that drew modern explorers. Why had Shiloh's pulse vanished so completely? What if, beneath those silent ruins, the missing pieces of Israel's story waited to be found? Hidden in plain sight, Shiloh's heart was still beating, ready to reveal truths that could change everything we think we know. The Hidden Sanctuary. In 2017, Dr. Scott Stripling and his team began a fresh excavation at ancient Shiloh, and what they uncovered could rewrite biblical archaeology. By 2019, Stripling took CBS News' Chris Mitchell to the site and showed him a major discovery: the remains of a large rectangular structure dating back to the Iron Age, the time of Eli and Samuel. But this wasn't just any ruin. Its layout, size, and orientation closely matched the biblical description of the tabernacle found in Exodus chapters 26, 27, 38, and 40. The tabernacle, according to the Bible, had a very specific layout. The entrance faced east, while the most holy place, the inner sanctuary, was at the west. That detail is repeated across multiple passages and reinforced by Ezekiel's vision, where the glory of the Lord enters the tabernacle from the east. That's exactly how this ancient structure was built. Stripling pointed out the east-west alignment of the walls and explained how the space was divided in a 2-to-1 ratio, just like the tabernacle, which had a holy place and a most holy place. If we're correct, Stripling told Mitchell, this spot right here may have held the Ark of the Covenant. Some of the stone walls still stand over 2 meters high. The floor, untouched for more than 3,000 years, lies exactly where the biblical timeline places the tabernacle at Shiloh. For centuries, critics dismissed the idea that anything from that period could survive, let alone match the Bible so precisely. But now, with measurements and orientation in line with Scripture, that argument is weakening fast. Stripling emphasized that this isn't about forcing belief. God's ego isn't bruised, he said. People can question, that's fair, but the evidence speaks. The team's findings at Shiloh go beyond speculation. They've uncovered a massive structure, aligned east-west, with proportions identical to what the Bible describes. And they found it in the one place the Bible says the Tabernacle stood before Jerusalem took over as Israel's spiritual center. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, the discovery is hard to ignore. This could be the site where the Ark of the Covenant rested, where Eli served, where Samuel heard God's voice, and where Israel first met its God in a sacred tent laid out just as Scripture described, facing east, with holiness at its heart. But just when the structure's layout began turning heads, the ground nearby offered up something even more startling: bones and gold. Stripling's team uncovered a massive bone deposit at Shiloh, known as a favisa. Since then, they've found more than 100,000 animal bones and shards of pottery in one area alone. Every day, new fragments emerge. These bones date back to the time of Joshua, carried away from the city's edge after each sacrifice. Here, outside the camp, worshippers created a sacred dump where they left what remained of the offerings. The animal bones tell a clear story. Not a single pig bone appears among them, only kosher species. Even more striking, the bones come mostly from the right side of each animal. This detail matches Leviticus, which says the priests received the breast and the right flank of the animal as their share during offerings. Over 3 centuries, this pattern repeated itself. Layer upon layer, tiny soil layers, or microstratigraphy, show a slow but steady buildup of sacrificial remains beneath the ground. Pottery fragments lie mixed with the bones. Each shard can be dated to late Bronze Age II, around the time of Joshua's leadership. That pottery helps confirm the age of the deposit. The fragments include drinking vessels used for libations. What's unusual is how complete they are. Most pieces can be fit back together into whole pots. That suggests these were not everyday scraps, but sacred objects. After pouring out their liquid offering, worshippers left the broken vessels behind, treating them as part of their gift. Even more remarkable are the gold finds. So far, Dr. Stripling's dig has produced 4 small gold objects, what look like star-shaped pendants, recovered at a rate of about 1 per week. In the ancient world, people rarely lost gold. These objects must be offerings, left alongside the animal sacrifices and drink libations. Without coins or paper money, gold was the most valuable gift a worshiper could give to show devotion. This kind of bone deposit is unique at Shiloh. No similar site exists in Jerusalem. Here, researchers can finally see firsthand how the sacrificial system really worked. The bones, pottery, and gold all cluster at the same level, next to the structure believed to be the Tabernacle. That proximity makes sense. Worshippers would make their offerings right outside the sacred tent. Dr. Stripling brought in a specialist in animal bones, a zoo archaeologist, to study the deposit on site. With expert eyes, the team identifies each species, its age, and even its sex. In other parts of the site, they found old work animals with bone wear. But here, the bones belong to young slaughter animals. The right side bias, kosher selection, and age of the animals all point to ritual use. Looking ahead, the team will finish the dig, analyze every bone and pot shard, and publish their results. Their work promises a clearer picture of faith in ancient Israel. Thanks to this sacred deposit of bones and gold, we may soon understand how worship really took place at Shiloh. Over 300 years of sacrifice, recorded not only in holy books, but in the soil itself. Sacred stores. In the summer of 2019, deeper trenches at Shiloh revealed rows of large pithoi, ancient Israelite collar-rimmed jars, stacked in what looked like storage rooms around the city. These massive jars once held grains and fruits, the tithes brought by worshippers to support the sacred site. Dr. Stripling's team uncovered more jars as the season progressed, each one a silent witness to centuries of devotion. Near these storage rooms, archaeologists found a kobot, a ritual chalice or goblet likely used in religious ceremonies. Its form and wear suggest it played a role in offerings or libations at the Tabernacle, reinforcing the idea that Shiloh was more than a simple camp. It was a full center of worship. But the most thrilling discovery was a small ceramic pomegranate. Dr. Stripling held the 2.5 to 3-inch fruit-shaped ornament, complete with tiny hooks for hanging. Similar pomegranates have only been found at known Levitical sites, he noted. Nearly a century ago, a matching piece surfaced in an earlier dig, but its connection to Shiloh went unrecognized until now. The pomegranate carried deep meaning. In the book of Exodus, the high priest's robe was trimmed with blue, purple, and scarlet pomegranates, alternating with gold bells. For over 300 years, priests served at Shiloh, wearing garments echoing that exact motif. Finding this pomegranate here tied the site directly to the biblical text. Dr. Stripling explained that Israel's land offered 7 sacred foods, 2 grains, and 5 fruits. Only one item entered the presence of God, the pomegranate. The pomegranate is a major motif of the tabernacle and the temples, he said. It's the only sacred fruit that goes into God's presence. This tiny ceramic fruit, then, was more than decoration. It was a powerful symbol of faith and identity, hanging in or near the tent where worshippers met God. The jars, chalice, and pomegranate all came from the same archaeological layer, confirming their use during the early Israelite period. Pottery shards dated to late Bronze Age II matched the time of Joshua. Animal bones found nearby showed sacrificial remains deposited in an organized favisa. Now, the storage rooms and their contents painted a fuller picture. Shiloh was not a makeshift camp, but a well-organized religious center. Shilohs Gate. Next, Stripling's team made an eye-opening discovery: a massive gate complex, not a small side exit as first thought. Instead of a simple break in the wall, they uncovered thick embankments and towering stone pillars marking the entrance to the city's core. In their first season, the team removed the earth ramp, known as a glossus, that once protected the foundations from attackers. Underneath, they found a huge outer wall. In its center was an opening that shouldn't have been there if it were just a defensive barrier. Returning the next season, they dug deeper and exposed 5 courses of massive stone pillars running parallel to the wall. A cross wall formed a wide, multi-chambered space. It was clear they had found the outer gate chamber of ancient Shiloh. This gate wasn't a simple doorway. In Bronze Age cities, gates were multi-chambered hubs. Traders set up booths, travelers bartered goods, and even foreign visitors could enter the outer chamber, so long as they stayed out of the inner sanctum. The gate served many roles: security checkpoint, market, courthouse, and religious meeting place all in one. It marked the boundary between everyday life and sacred ground. The structure at Shiloh predated King Solomon's famous gates. Similar examples appear at Megiddo, where an outer market gate leads to a smaller inner royal gate. But Shiloh's gate is older still, built at the same time as the Tabernacle. Dr. Stripling pointed out that finding both the Tabernacle footprint and this gate in one dig is rare. "In my perfect world," he said, "I'd hope to find the gate and the Tabernacle. Here we've done both." The gate also carries a powerful biblical story. It's the spot where Eli, the high priest, learned that the Ark of the Covenant had been captured by the Philistines. Overwhelmed by grief, he fell backward, broke his neck, and died. His daughter-in-law gave birth nearby and named the child Ichabod, which means the glory has departed because the ark was gone. That tragic moment unfolded in this very gate chamber. Archaeologists have mapped the exact layout: a broad entry flanked by pillars, leading into a square inner court. Each pillar was carefully cut and placed, showing skilled labor and organized planning. The walls rose high to support wooden gates or doors that have long since rotted away. The team hasn't reached the bottom of the gate's foundation yet, suggesting even older layers lie beneath. Finding Shiloh's Gate reshapes our view of the site. It wasn't just a temporary camp. It had a full city gate capable of handling trade, administration, justice, and worship, all tied to the Tabernacle's presence. People would gather here 3 times a year, bringing tithes, offering sacrifices, and meeting in the market beneath the watchful pillars. Inner Gate Chamber. Dr. Stripling's team has now exposed the inner gate of ancient Shiloh, where the city's leaders once held court. This gate isn't just a doorway. It's a fortress of justice and ceremony built with precision stonework. The gate's main wall is 5.3 meters thick. On each face, a solid meter of finely cut stone supports the structure. Inside, instead of loose rubble, layers of dressed blocks form 2 inset chambers. These chambers would have been smoothly finished and perhaps plastered or painted to impress every visitor. Behind the main wall lies the leader's chamber, a recessed room set within the gate itself. Here, the city's elder or judge sat to hear disputes and issue rulings. Visualize a covered space, protected from the wind and sun, where important decisions shaped life in Shiloh. Written records from Egypt, known as the Amarna letters, mention that Shiloh was a key city. An Egyptian governor once died right in this gate, likely during a revolt. That same gate later witnessed another tragic fall when the priestly leader collapsed after learning of the ark's capture. 2 ancient deaths, linked by this very spot, echo through the stones. Travelers entered from the north, passing through the outer gate, then the inner gate, and finally moving up toward the city's heart. The path they followed is now called the Patriarch's Highway. A messenger running 26 miles from the border would arrive here first. This chamber was the reception point for all news, good or tragic. You can still see the destruction layer in the stratigraphy. Just above the bedrock lies a thick band of collapsed stone and ash. That marks the moment when enemies breached the gate and overturned the city. Above that layer, soil colors shift again, showing how Shiloh was rebuilt and used over centuries. As they dig, the team takes soil samples at each level. They use flotation to extract seeds and tiny artifacts, revealing what people ate and planted. Every change in soil texture tells a story, from vibrant harvest seasons to moments of crisis. There's even a whisper of disturbing history here. In the 1930s, an earlier dig director fell ill while working in this very trench and never recovered. Local lore warns new volunteers about that spot, joking about a fourth death yet to come. Whether it's myth or memory, it reminds us that archaeology can be as dramatic as any tale. With each stone they uncover, the inner gate chamber comes back to life, proving that Shiloh's ancient justice spoke as loudly as its sacred walls. Ashes of destruction. Buried under a thick layer of reddish ash, Dr. Stripling's team uncovered a shattered clay pitcher. Its handle snapped, its body fragmented. This simple vessel lay right where history recorded Shiloh's fall. In its cracks, the grainy ash clung like a timestamp, pointing to the city's violent end at the hands of the Philistines. Shiloh had been Israel's chief holy site. Here, mandatory sacrifices were made. Tithes were brought, and lots were cast to divide the promised land among the tribes. Worshippers believed they must offer their first and best at this one chosen spot. Their ritual life centered on this town until the Philistine attack brought it to ruin. Beneath the ash, the excavation revealed a sealed plaster floor. Its glossy surface showed signs of intense heat, cracks and bubbles marking where fire swept through. Above that floor lay Iron Age II pottery shards. When the burnt plaster and ash samples were sent for carbon-14 testing, the results came back around 1075 BC. That date lines up precisely with the biblical account of the Philistine victory at Aphek, as recounted in 1 Samuel 4. Psalm 78 verses 54 to 61 remembers how Israel marched to Shiloh, their glory settling in tents, only to have the Lord's presence captured by enemies. Jeremiah 7 verse 12 later warns that the same place would become like Sodom and Gomorrah for wickedness. Now, the broken pitcher and scorched floor give physical proof of those words. The pitcher itself is ordinary in shape, a common household jug for storing oil or wine. Yet its broken pieces tell an extraordinary story. Someone must have dropped it, or thrown it, in panic as flames spread. Perhaps priests fleeing the tabernacle scattered vessels in their rush. The red ash that coats its shards once blanketed the entire sacred area. Excavators mapped each fragment, noting its exact spot among the rubble. That careful work shows the destruction wasn't a quick raid. It was a sustained assault that burned floors and toppled walls. The sealed floor, cracked but largely intact, suggests the fire reached its peak before cooling and trapping the pottery above. This find fills a gap between text and earth. Archaeology has long located Shiloh's outline, its altar layers, and its sacrificial deposits. Now it can mark the moment of collapse. The pitcher, ash, and burned plaster are markers in time, silent witnesses to the day faith and fire met. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. Deep beneath the sands of Shiloh, a remarkable discovery has emerged that promises to deepen our understanding of ancient Israelite worship. Early work at the site was carried out by a pioneering Danish team, whose sondages in 1922 and return in 1926 unearthed pottery and architectural remains linked to early sanctuary rituals. Decades later, Professor Israel Finkelstein applied modern stratigraphic methods and radiocarbon dating to validate and refine the chronology of those early finds, confirming their alignment with biblical descriptions of tabernacle use. Complementing these efforts, the Associates for Biblical Research sponsored excavations that revealed inscribed ceramic fragments bearing Proto-Canaanite script, possibly the oldest non-scriptural references to an Israelite priesthood. Most recently, Dr. Scott Stripling's archaeological team has made headlines. Archaeologists just discovered 3,000-year-old biblical evidence that changes everything we know by exposing a layer of ash and cultic installations directly beneath the known Iron Age floor. Their meticulous trenching has brought to light cult stands, storage jars stamped with tribal emblems, and a rare inscribed bulla that may record the dedication of the tabernacle itself. This convergence of 20th century sondages and 21st century science at Shiloh is reshaping our narrative of how and when the Israelites first organized worship on this hallowed ground. Cornerstone clue. In a new trench on the site's northeast corner, Dr. Stripling's team unearthed a simple block of stone, but its importance was anything but small. Half a meter below the surface, they found a door socket set exactly where their measurements predicted. This socket stone would have held the wooden hinge post of a massive door, swinging open to welcome visitors into the building. The find wasn't random. Years of mapping had outlined the footprint of the structure believed to be the tabernacle's walls. By calculating where each corner should lie, Dr. Stripling knew the door socket had to rest here. When the soil gave way to smooth stone, excitement swept through the crew. The socket's position matched the biblical references to doors and gateways in sacred architecture. Socket stones are rare outside city gates or large public buildings. To find one in a building that matches the tabernacle's exact dimensions is remarkable. Normally, tents leave no trace of doors, yet here was proof of a hybrid design. A sturdy stone framework topped by a movable tent cover. This mix of permanence and portability fits texts describing a tent over walls. Specialists from the Israeli Antiquities Authority visited and agreed they'd never seen anything like it. A monumental Iron Age building aligned east-west, featuring precision-cut stones at its corners and a clear doorway socket. Why build two structures with identical plans? The only logical answer: this was the tabernacle itself, built with walls for stability and a tent roof for the portable tabernacle's needs. Orientation was key. The building's long axis runs east to west, so worshippers would face the morning light as they entered, just as Exodus prescribes. If the walls had run north-south, this structure would have been dismissed. But everything lines up: dimensions, orientation, and now architectural details like this socket stone. Textual clues echo the archaeology. First, Samuel begins by describing tabernacle curtains, then ends with its walls. Ancient Jewish laws record that Shiloh's tent was set within a stone building topped by a roof of skins or cloth. Those rules and stories seemed theoretical until this socket stone proved them real. Dr. Stripling imagines the scene: a canvas tent draped over stone walls, anchored by doorposts set into these sockets. Priests would pull the heavy wooden doors across at night, then swing them open at dawn. The soft glow of morning light would fill the holy place first, then spill into the Holy of Holies at the far end. This single block of carved limestone carries more than weight. It carries history. It bridges the gap between desert tents and settled worship houses. As the team moves to the next corner, they carry a renewed sense of purpose. Each stone they expose, each layer they peel back, confirms that Shiloh was no ordinary camp. It was Israel's first permanent home for God's dwelling among the people. Unmistakable proof. The ground at Shiloh is speaking, and the message is clear. This place was real, not just a story. Year after year, Dr. Stripling's team digs deeper, and they keep finding pieces that fit the Bible's description too neatly to ignore. First came the tabernacle walls, laid out east to west, matching Exodus in every detail. Then the favisa, tens of thousands of kosher animal bones, stacked for centuries in precise layers. Now, shattered pitchers, scorched floors, and door socket stones add new chapters to the tale. Each find builds on the last, weaving a tapestry of proof that rivals any myth. Skeptics once said the books of Joshua, Judges, and 1 Samuel were late inventions. They believed these stories grew from oral tales, patched together by later editors. But as the team maps walls, catalogs jars, and measures stone courses, the weight of real artifacts is forcing a rethink. The chance that all these elements would align by accident grows slimmer with every season. Cutting-edge tools are pushing the work forward. Ground-penetrating radar shows hidden shapes beneath the soil, possible rooms, platforms, and storage areas tied to the tabernacle footprint. Digital stratigraphy lets archaeologists watch soil layers change in real time, spotting burn marks or floors sealed in plaster. Drones create 3D models of the site, revealing patterns invisible at ground level. These technologies hint at even more to uncover. Could deeper trenches reveal inscriptions that name priests or record rituals? Might more sections of the sacred building lie intact, waiting to be revealed? Every anomaly on a radar scan or shift in soil color is a promise of discovery. The ripple effects are real. Biblical scholars are re-examining debated passages, now armed with hard evidence that Shiloh housed the Ark and saw the faith's first festivals. Archaeologists compare Shiloh's Gate and storage rooms with other Iron Age sites, looking for parallels that confirm regional customs. Even longtime doubters admit the finds can't be brushed off. But the biggest impact may go beyond proving a single story. The Shiloh dig reminds us that faith and history share a stage. The rough-hewn stones of the gate, where justice was meted out, stand beside the bones of animals sacrificed in hope. The charred floor where the clay pitcher lay, broken bears witness to a day when the Philistines stormed in. Together, they form a record etched in earth rather than ink. As Dr. Stripling's team prepares for the next season, their focus is split between what's been uncovered and what still lies hidden. They know that beneath the fall of ash, or under a patch of undisturbed soil, the next piece of the puzzle waits. And with every scoop of dirt, they edge closer to answers that could redraw our understanding of early Israel. Shiloh's silence, long unbroken, is giving way to voices from the past. Each stone, bone, and shard is a witness. And if the history buried here has taught us anything, it's that sometimes the hardest truths lie just out of sight, waiting for someone bold enough to bring them to light.